Hey,
Perfect. So, Kelsie, how are you today?
I'm great. How are you, Dan?
I'm doing good as well. Thank you. So, Kelsie, welcome to the show.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for being here. Now, before we
Thanks.
start, I have to give you an epic welcome to the show. So, if you
Okay.
have watched my episode, you know what I'm talking about. If not, here we go.
Mhm. Thank you. What a welcome. I love it. I feel like I need to bow, even though I haven't done anything.
Right?
Yes, you're welcome. What did I do?
Now, starting with the whole interview here, tell me,
Mhm.
what are some of the best memories you had when you started acting, and also what made you wanted to become an actress?
Well, so the reason I wanted to become an actress, I'm one of those strange humans that my mum says that inside of her stomach, she knew that I wanted to be an actor. She's not an actor, she's a painter. But every time, have you ever heard of the TV show Neighbours? It's an Australian soap.
Neighbours. No, I haven't.
Well, I mean, you should definitely check that out because
I will put that in.
it's Australia's greatest soap, Neighbours. And every time the Neighbours theme song would come on, and like neighbours, everybody needs good neighbours. Apparently, like my mum could be on the other side of the house, she'd hear this neighbours, and all of a sudden I'd start kicking inside of her stomach until she would sit down to watch Neighbours. So I mean, that's pretty random. She was like, why is this? The baby wants to watch Neighbours. And then I think I was 2 years old when I saw the film Batman Forever. Very random. But I watched it and I was like totally captivated. And then Seal's Kiss from a Rose came on. And I just was this 2-year-old who was completely moved by the cinema experience and the music and what was going on in the story. And I like started crying and I was like, this is so weird. And then a few days later, I was in my little booster seat in the back of the car, and mum and dad had the radio on. They're sitting in the front chatting, and the song came on again. And I felt moved to tears again. And I just vividly remember this as a 2-year-old, which is one of my only memories from that time.
Yeah.
And that was what made me think, no, this is what I want to do. I want to make people feel something, and I mean something that is good. So I think that's what made me decide I want to be an actor. And ever since I was 2, I was like, gun ho, let's make it happen.
That's so cool. Wow.
Very random.
Yeah, but it's awesome. I mean, it's it's like one of those stories that it's just awesome. Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
You know? Now, in 2017, you completed your master's degree at the Guildford School of Acting in the UK. Now, tell me what happened after. I mean, did you stayed in the UK or you moved to the US? Now, between that time, what happened after you got that master's degree?
That is a very long story there, because I definitely didn't move directly to the US because getting a visa in the US as an Australian is definitely not easy. And I thought that I was going to make my life in the UK. So we graduated, and as you do when you graduate drama school, or I imagine most university degrees, you come out and you're totally broke and you don't really know what you're doing. So graduated and started searching for opportunities in the UK, was trying to set up life there. And I mean, it was tough. So without being able to come out and sort of launch straight into something really big, I teamed forces with a good friend of mine and started making short films. And then I think we're going to talk about this later, but co-formed a theatre company with a whole bunch of friends from drama school so that we could start making work that we could then be inviting industry people to, and trying to develop our own stories and our own work from there. And then, so I stayed in the UK. I think I lived there for about 4 years. Did spend a bit of time in Mexico and back in Australia working on a couple of different projects. But then I made my way back to the UK. And that was the plan, was to live there forever and make my career there forever. And then COVID hit. My life changed forever, for the better. But definitely flipped all of my expectations for life on its head. So
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that for everyone, pretty much, COVID changed like their life. Like nobody. I mean, like having like this type of like this magnitude of like this of this disease, and how the world literally like stopped.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, I mean, definitely in my situation, and I know for loads of people, COVID has either put a halt on or changed people's visa situations. So as somebody I'm Australian, and I have been lucky enough to live in the UK and live in Mexico for a bit, and now live in the US, definitely it's the reason I ended up here in the US is because when COVID hit and I was literally stuck in Mexico, my visa situation in England totally changed. And I was like, oh my God, like, I can't afford to even pay for that now. Like, why is it 4 times the price? So, but the universe works in funny ways, and it's definitely put me exactly where I need to be in this moment. So I'm just, thank you, Mother Nature, for putting me here. It's great.
Absolutely. You know, in the previous interview that I just had, I said that for me, like those 2 years, for me that doesn't count. So what I'm saying here is that for me, for me, like these 2 years never happened. So I'm just gonna pretend that didn't happen. I didn't age, no birthdays. I'm still the same. Nothing happened. And then when everything connects, I'm gonna be like, oh, there you go. Nothing happened. We're still the same.
I like this that we're all just, I feel like collectively as a world, we're all just choosing to not have aged for 2 years. I love this. I think I'm going to just choose to do that for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I'm 27 forever. That's it.
There you go. Yeah. And 10 years later, you would say, I'm 30 now.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah, I like that. In 10 years, I'll turn 30. Yeah, this is a great plan. Thank you.
Right? There you go. Perfect. Problem solved. Now, going back to your whole career here. Now, your career goes across Australia, UK, Mexico, and the US, right? Now, tell me, what are some of the best places you have discovered from those countries?
Oh, there's so many great places. I think, so something that I've learned from living in quite a vast amount of places is that there are great things about every country and things that are like, comme ci, comme ça about every country. Like it's literally, there's just pros and cons to everything. So in that regard, there is amazing places that I've discovered everywhere. Mostly I love big cities. I love living in big cities, but I also really love going on adventures out off the beaten track. So like, for example, when we were in England, I say we, me and all of my drama school collective, we studied in Guildford, which is this little town, sort of a 40-minute tube ride or train ride out of London. And it's this tiny little town where, it's just so many old famous writers got inspiration for their books. Alice in Wonderland, a lot of Alice in Wonderland was inspired by Guildford. And so there's just lots of little beautiful ruins out there and little walks that you could do. And like, I just loved being, for example, me and my writing and producing partner for many projects at the moment, Cristo Fernandez, we one time after drama school had finished, we had a weekend free and we were both like, okay, we know we can go to the drama school and borrow the film equipment. We've got 2 days. Let's set ourselves a mission to make a short film in 2 days. We're not going to plan it. We're just going to give ourselves 48 hours and make it happen. So you're in this little tiny town with like historical ruins and like the most quaint little Airbnbs and coffee shops and a little cobble road streets. And so like that, just being able to live in that environment and just make art in that environment was amazing. I guess in the way, I'm not really answering your question, in the way of like specific places, I've got I acted in this Turismo Jalisco commercial, like I think in February, back in Guadalajara, and they took us out for 5 days. They took me and the other actor out to all of these different beautiful places in Jalisco to promote the city, and we went to this little town. Have you been to San Sebastián del Oeste? I hope I'm saying it right. You have been there?
Yeah.
Maybe. Well, I thought, so for anyone listening, it's this tiny, tiny little town that I think we had to drive like 4 hours out into the mountains to get to this beautiful little town that is like, it's kind of, it feels like it's stuck in time and you know, it's just so quaint, and everybody in the town knows everybody, because it felt like maybe there was, you know, probably like 120 people that lived in this town, you know, for miles. And we got to go up to this amazing mountaintop view to do some filming, and you had to go with a professional in this epic 4-wheel drive thing, because otherwise there's no way you're going to get up this mountain. And I'm not gonna lie, like a part of me was very scared. Also, a part of me felt very seasick. I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna vomit, like going up this mountain. But you just get to, it's just those little hidden gems, you know, that you're like, wow, like when else in my life would I get to see this?
Yeah,
you
exactly.
know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just like wherever you go, if you just, like, I make it my mission to get lost in places, because like even in Australia, if I'm like, okay, cool, I'm just going to go for a walk. Like my family's house used to be on the side of a mountain. And so I could be like, all right, I'm just going to go and see what's on the other side of the mountain. And then you can walk for like 4 hours and find yourself in another town. And it's just amazing what you find when you let yourself get lost.
Yeah, it's like it's like having an adventure every day, you know?
Totally. And that's
adventure.
like, yeah. And I think that's the most exciting thing about working in like film across the world, because you have these opportunities to be like, oh, okay, today we're shooting on location in Santa Monica. Oh, okay, well, I don't know Santa Monica very well. Like I know the beach, but I haven't been to the hinterlands, or, you know, that's one of the great things about what we get to do in this industry. So
yeah, absolutely, because you will discover a new place, but also you will discover like this new world from the character that you're gonna play in that new place that you're discovering. So I mean, I would assume that it's kind of challenging, but at the same time, really awesome experience to be like in that opportunity, like to have that opportunity, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the only thing that's challenging is sometimes you don't sleep very much, you know, because you're like, you know, you might maybe have 4 hours between a call, but I mean, it's worth it. Sleep when we're dead, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Just part of it. That's cool. And tell me, what were some of the challenges that you first had when you started with your acting career?
Well, as I mentioned before, I fell in love with acting at the age of 2. And was hassling my mum to put me into drama school at the age of 2. So my very first challenge was that no one accepts a 2-year-old into drama school. So my poor parents were like, oh my God, like, why did you learn to speak? Can you stop hassling us? No one will accept you. So then they found a ballet school that said, okay, we'll give her a go. And that my mum was like, look, if you want, you can do ballet for 2 years while we wait for a drama school to let you in when you're 4 years old. And I was like, okay. I guess like in Australia, I found it hard to know, like at the time that I was trying to enter the industry, I didn't really know how or where to start. And I think that can be really tricky when you start out in this industry, because it's one thing to go to drama school, you know, like a big university drama school, but it's hard when you're a kid to know what to do. And often it's throughout the entire career, and I think throughout most industries, it's often not what you know, it's who you know. But then you need to have that preparation. You need to be able to do the work when somebody gives you that opportunity. But I'm starting to learn over this last few years that like, yeah, networking and connections are some of the most important aspects of getting work, but also saying yes to every opportunity. And if you're not getting those opportunities, then make them yourself. Because there was a fair few years where I was like, oh, like, I think too, when you're, you know, in your early 20s and late teens, everyone wants to be an actor. So there's so much competition, you know. And at the time, I remember people saying to me, mentors saying to me, you should make your own work. You should write your own stuff. You know, you want to be in it, write it. And I remember thinking, I can't do that. I'm not a writer. I don't know how to write. But it's amazing what you can do when you just pick up a pen and you just sit down and you say, Kelsie, you're not leaving this room until you've written 25 pages of a script. And then you make yourself, and then you read it back the next day and you're like, oh, okay, I can write, you know, and you force yourself to make that short film, or you force yourself to just get your cell phone and just film that scene. I think sometimes we run the risk, or we think we want everything to be perfect. So we're like, oh no, unless it's shot with the best cameras and with the best director and the best script writer and then we shouldn't do it. We shouldn't do it. But actually we all need to start somewhere, and we're only going to learn by learning and making mistakes and doing it again and doing it again. And yeah, so I think the challenge is finding the work and then overcoming that like inner demon that's like, no, I just have to wait by the phone. Like, just make it happen, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we all have to start somewhere, right?
Exactly. And then also you sometimes find that you're passionate or very good at things that you didn't realize you were. You know, I never thought that I could write, and now after, you know, the last few years, particularly in quarantine and lockdown and doing a lot of writing and making my own projects, now I feel so confident. I'm like, oh, I mean, I don't claim to be the best writer in the world, definitely not. I'm still learning, absolutely, but I feel confident in the fact that I've got loads of ideas and I can bring those to the screen and make those a reality.
That's so cool. That's so cool, and inspiring as well, let me tell you.
Ah, thanks.
That's cool. Now you've been in several projects, right? Such as Tradilations.
Tradilations, the hardest title to pronounce ever.
Yeah, then in Upshop, The Sky is Falling. Now tell me about your characters in those projects.
They were all very, very different. So Tradilations I co-wrote with Christo, and we based that on the types of characters that we wanted to play, because that was a moment where we were like, okay, we need to make some really good work to get ourselves out there. So Gabby is very much like based on me, I guess. But then Opshop was amazing because Opshop was something very different. She was just this like sweet little charity store worker. And then The Sky is Falling. The Sky is Falling was a real exciting project for me to work on, because The Sky is Falling out. The character Ali suffers a lot from, I can't remember the term exactly, but she's got like clinical hypochondria. So her brain is literally functioned to be, you know how we all have fight and flight, the fight and flight like aspects of our brain that are like, either I'm going to stand and fight this or I'm going to run away, and like when there's something scary or threatening that happened to us. So there are people in the world that have the fight and flight turned on all the time. And so their adrenaline levels are just naturally much higher. And so like if they have like a freckle, they might be like, oh, it's a cancer. And their brain just goes straight to that, and they're very paranoid, and it's a clinical diagnosis. So the director, Scott D. Clark, actually suffers from this diagnosis, and he wrote the short film and the character of Ali about his experience and what he's been through suffering with and living with this diagnosis. And so it was really amazing to be able to talk to him and learn from his experience. And it was about something that I didn't even know that this existed. And then to be able to tell his story through his short film that he was directing. So, and that one did really well. That one made it to a lot of festivals. We had a lot of nominations, and I think actually the short film won some awards too. And it was great. We got to screen at the Sanctuary Cove Film Festival in my hometown, and I happened to be there at the time, and all my family came to watch. So it was really nice, because most of the films that have screened, or anything that I'm in, it always screens overseas, you know. So I get to see it, but my family don't. So that was a nice experience for me to share that with them. Also, if anyone watching gets a chance to go to the Sanctuary Cove Film Festival, it's literally right on the water, and they have a big outdoor screen. So it's like drive-in cinema on the water in beanbags with your picnic. It's amazing. You should definitely go.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. Yeah, definitely. I definitely we'll put that on my bucket list for sure.
Great. Yeah, when the world opens again, and see some kangaroos as well while you're at it.
That's it. Now, how you usually prepare for like what kind of process you will take in order to prepare yourself for a character?
Yeah, so different for every role and every time period that I have to prepare. But I really do love to do like a big character story. So I have like a list of probably like, I don't know, 200 questions or something that I go through and answer in character. And then I like to do the like personality tests for my character in character to really understand them. And I also really love, so one of our teachers at the Guildford School of Acting used to work with an actress. He was a director, and apparently she always would come up with a perfume scent for her character. And whenever she'd do rehearsals and then go on, she was a theatre actress, she'd go on stage and she'd put that perfume on to feel in character. And I started doing that at drama school, and I love it. It just is something about that. Because when do you have your senses as an actor, you know, you have the clothes, the costume that feels like the character, or your hairdo or makeup that makes you look like the character. And you might do your accent work that makes you sound like the character. But like the sense of smell, I mean, you just smell like you. But this makes you feel like you smell like someone else. And that kind of, I don't know, for me, if I have the money to be able to be like, I'm going to buy myself a perfume for this role, then definitely I'll treat myself, because I find using that during rehearsals and then using it when on set or whatnot, it's just a really fun extra element that's a really easy, like if you're not feeling in it, it's like, oh yeah, now I'm this character. So yeah.
Interesting. That is very unique, and it's true. I mean, if you can put like that extra, so you can put yourself like you are going to be somebody else, that's really cool. That's very smart, actually.
Well, I can't claim the idea. That was one that I had advice from, you know, this director, and I stole it from this actress who I don't even know who it was that he was working with, but whoever she is, thank you very much, because it works great. I don't know if you've heard of the acting technique practical aesthetics. It's a technique that was developed off the workings of William H. Macy and David Mamet. There's an amazing school in New York called the Atlantic Acting School, of which I did a summer intensive there years ago and learnt this technique. And that is absolutely always part of my preparation. The practical aesthetics technique is just, in my opinion, the cherry on top of everything that I've ever learned. So if you ever want an extra little thing to add to an actor's goodie tool bag, I think that's a really great technique to add in there. Yeah.
There you go. That's cool. That's really cool. Yeah. Definitely for those who are watching or listening to this later, you already have a huge tip, you know, like a huge advice here. So take it. Cool. That's awesome. And
thanks.
And tell me, wait, I just got lost for a single second. There you go. Yeah. Now then, in 2020, during the whole COVID thing, you were in more projects such as Creatures, When You're Gone, Do You Speak Love. Now tell me some of the challenges that you had during those projects due to COVID, and what did you like the most about those projects too?
Well, these are my favorite projects that I've worked on to date. So I was working on Creatures in London with a bunch of friends, and also a bunch of new people that got us in on the project. Okay. And that was literally as COVID was starting to take over the world. And we were all like, oh, is this going to be a problem for us? That one was an interesting one, because I actually took on the role of art director and production designer, and also puppet wrangler, because I strangely used to be a professional puppeteer. And there's puppets in this film. It's an alien zombies take over the earth film, which is very fun. But I mean, that is like a whole nother podcast, like all of the, you know, the challenges that come with the working of puppets. And I mean, that it's crazy and amazing, and lots of stories there. But so directly after that, I had to duck to Mexico for a wedding, and then had a whole bunch of jobs lined up again in England for, you know, 10 days later.
Wow.
And during those 10 days in Mexico is when the entire world shut down entirely.
Yeah.
And it was not going to make sense for me to go back to England at that stage. My visa went up 4 times the price. I lost my apartment. I lost all of my jobs that I was going back to. And so that's when it was like, oh my God, like I'm just going to stay in Mexico. And thankfully I had my adopted Mexican family there were like, oh, mi casa es tu casa, and please stay with us, and bless them, because we were there during lockdown together. And that's when my friend Crystal and I, who was also who was sort of stuck there at the time, we started writing together, and we started developing Translations, the short film, into a feature film, which was always our dream for that project. So and then I was cast in the feature film When You Are Gone in Mexico. And that was in English with an amazing up-and-coming director, Rafael Altamira, who is literally going to be the next big thing out of Mexico. I want to be the first person to say it. He absolutely is. Like, when he's in Hollywood, it's got to be tomorrow. He's amazing. So we worked on this film, and I played the lead actress next to Andrew Forner, who's an amazing up-and-coming actor here in the United States. But we shot that in Guadalajara. And it was then, and on the very last day of filming this, so in the way of like troubles with COVID, it was very tricky because you had your masks on, you know, you had to try and socially distance. It was very tricky to like build connections with people, but then also like strange because like we might have a kiss scene. So it was weird to be like, oh, now we're kissing on, now masks back on, you know, like very bizarre.
Real, right?
Very surreal. But thankfully because it was like such a small crew and we all worked together every single day for many hours, we didn't have time to go do anything else. So there was no COVID on set because nobody was doing anything else. It was like a bubble. So that, I think, really worked. And then from there, so I thought after this, there's not going to be any work for a while because COVID's still raging. And the director had said to me, the producer actually wants to go on and make another film, but I don't have another script yet. And I was like, I've got a script I've been developing during COVID. It wasn't finished though. Not entirely. And I said, I've got this concept, and I pitched it to him, and he was like, pitch it to the producer. So Christo and I went in and pitched it to the producers, and they really loved the idea. So we quickly got everything together, had I think a week where we finished this film and did a million different edits and pitched it again. They loved it. They picked it up. And because Christo had to then go back to England to shoot Ted Lasso, because he plays Danny Rojas in Ted Lasso, the Apple TV show. So we had a real little time limit, and we had a little less than a month to shoot an entire feature film. So that again became like a bubble. And this was a bigger cast. We had, I think, about 30 actors in this film. Wow, okay. Which is unheard of for an indie feature, but in Mexico, you know, possibilities endless. And we just, you know, it was a group of people that we knew and we loved, and everyone was in it for the art and was willing to, you know, give their heart and soul to this project for a month. And I truly think it's the most proud I've ever been of any project. So that they are both, well, actually all 3 of them are in post-production right now and in hands of distributors. So we'll hopefully find out within the coming weeks/months where they're going to be, whether they go to cinemas or direct to streaming, and what streaming platforms. So
that's so amazing. And have you thought about like all of those things that happened to you during the like this whole pandemic time? Have you tried to write that and make a movie of that?
Well, do you speak love?
The reason why is because it sounds very kind of it's inspirational, and at the same time how everything was just like at the right moment at the right time, you know?
Yeah, I definitely think, but No Translation Required has now it's called Do You Speak Love? My apologies, the name keeps changing. So Do You Speak Love does have aspects of what I went through in a way, because of the whole like language, like it's a rom-coms, and it's totally about like a Mexican guy and an American girl who like have these language barriers and they don't really speak the same language, and like my character is speaking very bad Spanish and like literally making so many mistakes that it's hilarious, and then he does the same. And so in ways, that story and that part of my journey being stuck in Mexico is captured in this film. I haven't done a film yet about the COVID thing, but I wonder whether people are maybe a bit sick of hearing and seeing films about COVID,
That's true. I think, that's true. You're right. I think at the end of the day, once this whole thing is over, we don't want to hear about that for a really long Yeah. There was a time that whenever you will check the news, it was just COVID, and then you check Facebook, COVID, Twitter, COVID. You just like COVID was just taking on. Yeah, it was just horrible. Yeah.
But I'll keep it in my back pocket. I'm not gonna like throw it away. Maybe in 10 years time we can make it.
Just make sure that you put, like small like things too, because like,
Of course, this is dedicated entirely.
There you go. Yes.
That.
And I mean, who knows? Maybe at that point I will have like this very huge show, so we could have like an exclusive, and talk
you absolutely will. You'll be as big as Jimmy Fallon. Literally, you'll be working on the Jimmy Fallon stage. I can't wait.
That would be epic. Yeah.
It's happening.
It's happening for sure. Now, tell me, what do you usually do after a day on set? Like after a long day of shooting a film, like what do you usually do after it?
More work, ready for the next day.
I
come home, I go over my sides for the next day, I go over all my intentions, I go over all of that stuff. Sometimes I'll read the whole script again. Maybe I'll work out if there's time, because I do feel like that's quite therapeutic. But definitely I wish I could be like, I come home, I have a bubble bath with a glass of champagne and a bit of chocolate while I watch my favorite film. But no, there's none of that. It's just more work, responding to emails, applying to more castings at this stage anyway. Like maybe one day I'll be able to come home and relax, but at this stage, I feel like I'm in the hustle part of my career, where you just gotta, the hustle never ends, but it's what keeps life exciting, so
yeah, absolutely.
No complaints.
Yeah. Preach.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. No, for sure. Yeah, it is true. I mean, whenever you will have like your career and you're starting your career, or you're like in this moment, then you need to just work hard and just keep pushing. And at some point there will be a time in which you can kind of sit back a little bit and just kind of regroup. I mean, it's understandable that at some point you need to kind of regroup in order to continue going. But like the way that you said it, and the way that you are kind of pushing, that's really cool. I have to say that I would totally say that you're a badass for sure.
Thank you. I love that. No one ever calls me a badass. Put that on my vision board.
You got it down. Now,
thank you.
What is the number one thing you bring with you whenever you have to go shoot a film?
Water and coffee.
There you go.
Water, and I'm an absolute fish. I think I'm a stage manager's nightmare, because when I used to work in the theatre, and particularly in musical theatre, man, like every single time I'm off stage, all I'm doing is guzzling down water, and I'm kind of the same during takes. Like I'm that girl they're always like, Kelsie, can you move your drink bottle, please? It's in shot. I'm like, I just need my water intake. Yeah,
that's cool. But
it's necessary. I don't know, because I'm an Aquarius, I think. Or maybe not. No, someone told me that's not even a water sign. I don't know why I'm a fish. I understand.
Now, this year, you were also more involved in more projects. I mean, you don't stop. That's cool. You were in such as Nada Comercial, Me Enredas, When You're Gone to Set, Fluoxetina, Nota de Crayones, and many more. Now, some of those projects, are in Spanish. So tell me, how difficult or challenging can be playing a character with another language?
So I have done a lot of castings and played some characters where I have to sound like I can speak Spanish, like as native as possible. And I need to pretense this by saying, when I got stuck in Mexico, I did not have, because it was COVID, so I didn't have the time I did have the time. I didn't have the money to take lessons. I wasn't like taking classes in Spanish. I had taken a month worth of classes like a year and a half before that, but that's it. And in Australia, in the public school system, it's not that common to really learn languages. It's just not many people are learning languages in Oz. I would argue, at least from my experience. So truly, I knew nothing. And can you imagine, like, when you've got conjugations, you've got masculine and feminine, and all you've ever spoken is English. My Spanish is not. It's definitely not perfect. I say embarrassing things a lot. So definitely when I have to sound like I'm native and fluent, I struggle. I get very nervous. And also, because it was during COVID, it's one thing if I'm there talking Spanish with somebody in the flesh. But if I'm there on a screen and I'm trying to lip read and then like the screen goes funny, man, it was very tricky and gave me a lot of like, it just gave me a lot of appreciation for all of my friends who I met in England, where English is their second language, and they're going to castings all the time. And I had no idea how hard it was for them. And I really take my hat off to them now. But thankfully, a lot of the roles that I did end up getting were like the directors or the production were like, okay, well, let's play with the fact that you are a foreigner and that your English isn't perfect. So a lot of the time they would write the script so that my English was purposefully bad. Or my Spanish, I should say. So I was constantly saying embarrassing things, and that was part of the joke. This ridiculous like blonde girl with, and often I would even, so when I speak Spanish, I do put on the accent because that's how I learnt it, and I think it's easier to understand, and I mean, it's the way you're supposed to speak it. But like a lot of these roles, like I'll put on an American accent, and then I'll like see the things really, I'll also like be like, oh, like esta comida es excelente, on purpose. So that is very fun, and that I find very easy because my Spanish is I'm still learning. I'm like a 4-year-old, so that is very liberating and fun to be able to do that in another language. Yeah,
absolutely. It's that's so awesome.
And that's credit as well to the directors and the production to be like, oh, like let's roll with what she's got here. That's really cool of them to give me the opportunity. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, and also kind of because at the same time it's an experience for you, and it's something new to add on the book of your life and your like the experiences and moments that you have lived. That's really cool.
Yeah, and I do hope that one day I can do a feature film where my Spanish is perfect, and I just people are like, she was born here in the hills.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be epic. Yeah, let's make that happen.
Yes, please.
That would be cool. Now, what do you think is the key to deliver a good performance for a movie?
For me, it's all about sincerity and really being there with the other person in that moment, combined with all of the preparation. Like I don't want to be on set thinking like, oh, my objective is this, I'm thinking this, and like, not being in the moment. I think being impulsive is where I think the best acting is. I think it's been so interesting during COVID doing so many self-tapes inside, and being able to watch them back. And you might think, oh my God, like, I don't know what I did in that moment. Like, I wasn't even thinking. And then you watch it back and you're like, oh, I was just literally in the moment there. And that's actually more interesting than when I've planned everything. So for me, that is, and it's the same when I've produced projects and things. That's when I think the best performances come, when there's that impulse and it just is natural and real in that moment.
Absolutely. And if you could describe your career at the moment with a movie title, which one you will choose?
La La Land, absolutely. La La Land. And I know that's really cliche, but truly, so when I finally got my visa, I'd been 6 months of thinking my passport had been stolen, and then I had 2 days to get on a plane and get here, and I was living out of a suitcase. And then I arrived, I didn't even have reception in my cell phone, so I had no idea how to get anywhere, where I was, Google Maps. And I just was like, okay, I'm going to go for a run. So I just ran out of my house, was like, okay, well, that's up a hill. I think maybe there'll be a nice view. I just ran up and up and up, and I wound up on Runyon Canyon. and Runyon Canyon is opposite the Hollywood sign. So I accidentally ran into this amazing view where I was looking at the Hollywood sign. And that's when I was like, yeah, well, I mean, my life is La La Land right now. Absolutely.
That's so inspiring. I mean, I know that I keep saying that, but yeah, it is. I mean, your career, it's inspiring. Absolutely.
Oh, thanks. I mean, still plenty to go, still on the upward climb, but I feel like it's all coming together nicely.
Yeah, it's good. That's good. Yeah, and I think that sometimes you need like those hectic moments, right? That in order to enjoy whenever you get the moment, you can relax for a bit or kind of sit back for just for a second and to see how's everything been moving. Yeah, absolutely. That's cool. Now you co-formed the London-based theatre company Encompass Theatre Collective, which wrote Divisive and tours innovates and often immersive theatre across Europe. Tell me about some of the plays from that company. So we, as a collective, we'd created a lot of plays and put them on. The first one was Goethe and Christiana, which one of the guys in the group, Joe Presswich, wrote. And then directly after that, we devised and redeveloped something that we had created at drama school, which was this immersive theatre show called Lovers Anonymous. They have gone on to do a whole bunch of other things, and they're literally performing very, very recently somewhere in Europe. Obviously, I'm over here now, so I wasn't a part of that, but they continue to make amazing work. But my favourite was Lovers Anonymous. Now, Lovers Anonymous, I'm really obsessed with immersive theatre because, again, it's very impulsive. It's in the moment. You have to like bend and change with the audience, and the audience really get that I'm like once in a lifetime experience that no one else can get because they're part of the show. So this particular show, and this is trademarked, so please don't anyone steal this idea because I will come looking for you. But no, it's set in a, imagine like an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting, but it's called Lovers Anonymous, and it's people with problems with love. And so we set it in a literal community hall on the London Fringe, at the Fringe Festival. And we had 50 chairs. I think there was about 10 actors and about 40 audience members. And everyone entered at different times, and nobody knew who was part of the show and who wasn't part of the show. And the audience would get this ridiculous and funny and awkward experience of being like a part of this strange circle of humans confessing their problems with love. And it did really well enough that it actually got picked up to do a third run. And I personally would like to develop that concept into maybe a TV series, but that will be something for the future, I think. Yeah, absolutely. That's very smart too. That's cool. Wow. Yeah, it's a cool concept and a very talented group of humans, the Encompass Theatre Collective. And they also now have another branch called Shake It Up, which is a improvised Shakespeare show company. So every night they will improvise a Shakespearean show, and like the audience decides, okay, it's going to be set in Nigeria, and you're going to be the princess of the pool, and they literally just make things up, and then the actors have to make a show then and there. It's amazing. That's so awesome. Yeah. So cool. And what do you think? What do you think is one of the most important steps for a play to be successful, besides being like immersive? For me, I think that it's the same as successful film and TV, that the audience needs to leave feeling something. Yeah. And be that positive, or be that, that like they've just watched a horror movie and they walk away feeling very shaken, or that they walk away feeling, really sad about an issue in the world that they didn't know about, and now they're moved to want to change something. I just think that the audience needs to leave feeling something, and then probably you've succeeded. Yeah. 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 And what do you like the most about storytelling? I think what I like the most about storytelling is that it's a way of sharing a perspective or information that somebody might not know, and it's a way of opening up the world and opening up people's tunnel vision of like what the world is. So if somebody's only lived this life and this is all I know, and
and this is what life is. But then they can see other people's perspectives, and maybe then we become closer as a human race, or as, you know, living, breathing things on this earth, and realize that we're all pretty much the same.
That's cool. Now, you got 2 Best Actress awards for your work in both film at the Melbourne Underground Film Festival and on stage at the Ipswich Festival. Now, tell me, what are some of the best moments you had during those awards, and how did you felt? Like, how was the experience of receiving those awards from your performances?
Oh, really, really wacky. Both times I did not expect it at all. Actually, the Melbourne Underground Film Festival, I was really sick at the time. I remember being like so unwell, just with a cold. But I was not going to go to this ceremony. And my director gets on the phone. He's like, Kelsie, you really need to come to the ceremony. And he knew what was going to happen. I was like, I can't tell you. I'm so sick. And he's like, please come. So I remember going, and I was like I was like, huh. But I mean, it was amazing. It was so exciting, and so amazing to know that people enjoy your work, and that your performance affected them and got them thinking, or moved them in some way. So definitely I was never expecting either of those awards, but it was really humbling and exciting to be awarded them. Yeah,
I bet. And what can we expect to see in the future for your career?
Well, I've got a few projects coming up here in the United States. So I've only been here for 2 months, so it's still early days, but I've got a really, really fun short film that will definitely be doing the festival circuit. And the idea behind that one is definitely to take it further into, I imagine, a TV series, maybe a film. This one is not written by me. It's written by an amazing new writer called Chance Garcia. And this concept is something that is the most exciting script I've read in a long time. Very sort of alternate universe, but I won't give anything away. And then I've got another feature film that's coming up. We'll be shooting that one in, I think, October. And that is with a fantastic, really young, new crew, but I have a lot of faith that one's going to do well. And without even being filmed, that one's already been accepted into a film festival, which is crazy. So we'll see what happens in the way of release of those. But also do keep an eye out on the social media, because When Do You Speak Love and When You Are Gone will be hitting some of the big streaming platforms soon, potentially cinemas as well, depending on COVID. But they are the ones to look out for at the moment, because they both, I've seen both of them, and I'm telling you, like, they're exciting new films. So with a lot of exciting new talent to be thrust into the world. That's so cool. I really look forward to watch those for sure. Thank you. I'm excited to hear what you think. Yeah. Now, tell me, like, throughout this whole interview, like, I wonder, like, what motivates you? I mean, because you are very inspiring. You have done a lot of things. You've been, like, from being in Australia to UK to here to Mexico, having to deal with the whole pandemic, and still be able to manage to get projects. Like, what motivates you every day in order to keep up going and going and going? I think that there's, like, it makes me really sad to see how many people aren't happy with their lives or give up on their dreams. And I know particularly throughout my younger life, I had a lot of people that were like, oh, what do you want to do? And I was like, oh, I want to be an actress. And they'd be like, oh, okay, but what do you really want to do? You know, let's be real here. Like, what are you really going to do? And I really want to be that person who hangs on. And I mean, it's been a long time of hanging on and chasing the dream. And truly, I just love I love telling stories, and I love acting. So no matter what I'm doing, at whatever capacity, I'm really happy if I'm doing it. But I also really want people I want to succeed so that people can believe that, okay, if I want something and I really go for it, and I maintain my positivity and my optimism and my faith in myself and the universe, and what's meant to be, then I can make anything happen. And I truly think that that's how so many great things are made in this world, be it science, be it, you know, progression in politics or film or writing. I think if we truly believe it and we stay true to ourselves and we work hard and we try and enjoy the journey along the way, and help our friends out and bring our friends along with us, then I think that we can achieve anything. So that's what I'd like to be able to prove to the world.
That's inspiring.
Thank you.
Epic. I mean, I would say drop the mic, but instead I'm just gonna say drop the shoe. So just
amazing.
drop it. But yeah, it is very inspiring, and what I can say here is that make sure that you keep up being that same inspiring person, that you keep pursuing what you want, and you keep being you, because at the end of the day, I think that you have been inspiring people, and I think that I mean, I don't know what to say basically because I'm speechless, but keep being you, keep being that awesome person, and yeah.
Thank you. Well, the plan is to keep being me. I don't plan on changing, so fingers crossed stays the same. Oh, I just noticed we have a new friend in the background. What a sweetheart. Yeah. He heard you drop the shoe and he was like, hello, I'm gonna take that sticky shoe and stick my nose in it.
I live with 3 dogs. This is I think he's the oldest one. His name is Dante.
Hi, Dante.
And he's huge.
He's huge.
Yeah, I can't even.
Dante.
Yeah.
Oh, he wanted to be part of the interview. Oh, he's beautiful. Oh. Well, definitely dropping the shoe now because he's going to take over.
And the problem is that now here comes this. Okay, the second one is just there, just watching. But anyway, again, thank you so much for being here at the show, Kelsie. As I said here, it is very inspiring, and I really look forward to see more of your awesome work. And who knows, maybe at some point in reaching higher every day. I mean, if someone is able to do it, for sure it's you. And you can definitely count on the support of a lot of people that love what you do, me included. So before I send you off, I need to send you off in an epic way. So here we go again.
Right. For you as well. Thank you so much for having me. It's been really, really great to have a chat and really inspiring chat. So thank you for bringing the great energy.
Also, make sure, thanks. Also, thank you for those who are watching. Make sure that you're following Kelsie and all of her social media. If you're not, what I would suggest, if you're watching this later on YouTube or listening to this on the podcast, just put pause for a while. Go to her page, follow her, leave a bunch of likes here and there, share content, why not, and then come back here because we definitely have an amazing actress right here. So let's support her. And again, Kelsie, thank you so much. Keep having an amazing rest of the day. And I can't wait for more of your awesome work soon. So
thank you very much. I can't wait to share it with you. And thanks everyone for joining in, and looking forward to our next chat.
Sounds like a plan. So keep having a good one, and I'll see you on the next one then.
Sounds good. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.